What up, guys? Kevin here. So, the review, I don't know if you're waiting for it, but I just beat the game, The Last of Us Part 1, formerly known as The Last of Us, formerly known as The Last of Us Remastered. And then they put out Part 2, so they remade it and called it Part 1. And I bought it for $70. That aside, I'll get to whether if it's worth it, but I'm going to leave what I think of the game as separate. Just because prices fluctuate. Heck, a couple months from now, this could be on PS Plus. And yeah, so let me just review the game as it is. I've been very harsh on it, but I am going to be very honest. I'll do a Dreamcast guy and call it an honest review. I don't know why people put honest, but I guess I get it now because I was very harsh on the game the last couple days. And it didn't start off so, not on a good foot. Me and The Last of Us Part 1 did not get off on the right foot. Mainly because there's other games I want to play. And yeah, I did spend $70 on this and I wasn't feeling it at first. That first 45 minutes, like as soon as I got the really nice visuals, it is a beautiful game. But once that subsided, I got used to it. It was a boring game. Like the first half of this game was pretty boring. I actually woke up today going, I don't want to play it, but I'm like, man, I did spend $70. Not to bring up the price, so let me just try to get another hour or two. And then I did what I do with Marvel movies. I don't like Marvel movies. I think they're really dumb. I think they're really stupid. I just don't get it. But I do have one superpower I call Marvel movie mode, where I just tune out all the dumb stuff and stop looking at things with a very analytical eye and just have fun. Just sit back and have fun. And that's what I did with The Last of Us Part 1. I just went for the ride. And I got to say, I enjoyed it a lot more. It's still a gameplay of just, all right, you see a building that looks like, okay, 3 minutes to walk to, but you're just zigzagging through the area because you can't just beeline it over there. And you see one of the big buildings next to it, like, let's not go into that big building where all the clickers and bad guys are, but we do anyways. Happens over and over and over. But again, this is a 2013 game, not a 2022 game. And you're just going from the next area to the next area, beating up the enemies. I did start to have a little bit more fun as I unlocked more weapons and upgraded my weapons. And I was like, okay, the gameplay, a C in 2022. Back then, 2014, when I played it for the first time. Yeah, B, maybe an A. But the story, let's get to the story. The story is really good. Really good. Very basic, very easy to follow along. I do appreciate it. There's just something about this story that is just so quaint. Just so quaint, just so simple. I love it for that. I think we need more simple games. Especially someone like me who plays JRPGs, and JRPGs just go crazy with the stories. So it was actually a little bit refreshing playing something so simple-minded. So, okay, this girl has a cure, and I'm going to go take her to the Fireflies, and the Fireflies are in the next castle. Nope, they're in the next castle. That type of deal to get to Salt Lake City. But I appreciate it. It's a very good story. I really enjoyed, because I played Part 2, a year or two ago? And I don't really remember much of Part 1. And now playing Part 1, yeah, Joel is not really a good guy. He's not a good guy. He went very selfish there towards the end. And I feel like we know that. Whereas like Nathan Drake, he's a bad guy too. Do you have to murder all these people for what, some jewels or some shit? But there were some great moments where Joel went from like, oh, I'm not going to treat you like my daughter, to, oh, this is my daughter 2.0, and I'm going to make her mine. And towards the end, when, I guess spoilers, I don't know. If you haven't played it, I would suggest playing it. Ellie can give up her life and save the world. And Joel's like, no, screw that. Went and shot up everybody, and including Abby's dad. No, there is no Abby. I was like wondering, like, oh, maybe they'll put like a little baby Abby or whatever, or kid Abby in the operating room for some reason. No, she's not there. She's not there unless I missed her. But it's basically the first game, from what I can tell. I think they may have added a couple lines, but who knows? Who knows? But all that being said, what do I give it a grade? I do have to say I am looking forward to part 3. I was looking forward to part 3 after I beat part 2, just because I felt like part 2 kind of got away from the whole, like finding the cure and all that. It was just more about the relationships and getting over, just getting over stuff, your personal feels. And I'm excited for part 3 because I feel like part 3 is going to go back to maybe more part 1, where like, hey, don't you got the cure? Aren't we going to figure this out and maybe explore all these other factions and stuff that they introduce? Was it like the Roadrunners? I forgot. The one at the end, the cowboy ones. I like those guys. But yeah, Last of Us Part 1 remake. Again, I'm not going to talk about the money. For me, $40 is what I paid $70, but the reason why I spend the money on it is, I know I complain about it, but I put me first, and I wanted to play this game. It was like a split-second decision. I want to play it. I'm going to spend the money and do it. Even though I hated that I spent $70, I think $40 would have been a fair price for this. Did not get off to a good start with the game, but once I put myself in Marvel movie mode and just stop looking at everything with an analytical eye and just have dumb fun, I started to have dumb fun. And I think I'm going to give the game, it is the best version of The Last of Us, but the gameplay and the kind of just repetitive section, and I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. People would consider this a 10 out of 10. I'm not going as low as like 5 or a 6. It is the best version. It is a very beautiful game. Very beautiful game. One of the best looking games ever. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I would say if it goes on sale, pick it up. PS Plus, pick it up. Or you're just made of money. You're made of money like me. No, I actually had to go out. I did a bunch of like Uber Eats and DoorDashes and Grubhubs this weekend, which I actually ended up making more money because I wouldn't have worked or done that or done as much. I think I made like an extra like $100. I think just today alone, and I went out yesterday, so probably like an extra on top of this $50. So that's the way I'm looking at it, even though that did take up time. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. If you haven't played the game before, I absolutely suggest you play The Last of Us Part 1. And it kind of makes me want to go and play Part 2. Especially towards the end, the whole Abby part of Part 2. Like, yeah, like I just straight up did her dad dirty there. So, yep, 7.5 out of 10. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Later.